This is Dr. Millie again. By now, you definitely know that I love vitamins and supplements. I have been taking vitamins probably since I was a child. I've always been thankful to my parents that they introduced me to the natural way of life. Even as a child, of course, we did integrative medicine. I went to see the doctor, and I also took cod liver oil and apple cider vinegar water and wheat germ and vitamin E capsules. And in fact, I still love to chew vitamin E capsules, vitamin A capsules. So I'm a bit of a freak like that. However, I've started working in vitamin supplements when I was just 20 years old. And I was a juice bartender at a naturopathic clinic and a vitamin store. So I became kind of a fast believer when I started trying the products myself and was remarkably healed from quite a debilitating illness at the time using all natural means, including supplements. So I've always believed in high quality supplements and supplements that are made and sourced in the United States and Canada, where I was at that time, and also sourced from countries where they're not adding, mysterious ingredients or watering down or putting anything that's harmful into the products themselves. So it's really important that we get supplements that follow good manufacturing practices and that are made in the United States, and they're really recommended. The cheapest supplement is definitely not the best supplement. You might look at two bottles of supplements, an expensive one and a cheap one, and think that they look exactly the same. And to an untrained eye, they might be, but it also matters what else is in it, where the product is sourced, if it's at a level that's high enough in order to generate and deal with the issue that you want dealt with. And so all of these factors are important with supplementation. Now, it's also not necessarily true that the most expensive supplement is the best. Sometimes companies have really slick marketing, and that can allow people to make purchases for products which might just be nothing more than a formulated vitamin B product, for instance, and charge you $100. So you really do want to be educated as a consumer, and that's where I come in. So I've been making these videos, and the product that I'm featuring today is called Nutrametrics Bliss Anti-Stress Formula. It might as well be called a happy formula because that's what it is. I take this product all the time. I mean, I'm a busy naturopathic doctor. I live in Brooklyn. I work in Manhattan. It's got to be one of the stress capitals of the United States, if not one of the stress capitals of the world. If you've been here, the entire island of Manhattan is just one big anxiety ball. And so for me to stay balanced and for me to stay resistant and buffered against stress and to help me cope with stress, then of course I do meditation. Of course I get my good night's sleep. I get a lot of vitamins from food, and I get as much from food as I possibly can. But I also firmly believe in supplementation with herbs and nutrients that help the body adapt to stress levels. Because let's face it, the stress that we face these days, especially in the city, but just even as Americans doing our best, going to work, taking care of our families, taking care of our friends, is not a normal amount of stress. It's kind of the chronic underlying stress that never ends. The stress from devices like this or devices like the one that I'm speaking to you on, or the television always emitting these rays, blue rays, green light, electromagnetic frequencies that are harmful. We're exposed to radiation, microwaves, radio waves, nuclear waves. We're exposed to all of this radiation, and these are all sources of stress that are being emitted onto us, that our body, our nervous system, our stress system, our adrenal system, our what we call the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which also includes our thyroid and our gonads. These are the organs of the body that help produce hormones that help regulate our stress levels. And particularly the adrenal gland that produces adrenaline, which gets us going when we're feeling like we need to run away from a lion. And also cortisol, which is the main dominant stress hormone that gets us out of bed in the morning. If it's not high enough, then it's what keeps us in bed. And when I say the word adapt, it's that our cortisol secretion needs to adapt to the stressors in our environment, in our outer environment. So that's in our family situation, our home life, social stress, romantic stress, stress for their children, bad news, financial stress, lack of sleep, job stress, just environmental pollution, noise pollution, all these things that we might call pollution are stressors on our body. How many chemicals and toxins that we're dealing with all the time that our bodies really are not equipped to deal with create stress on our body. So even if you don't feel emotional stress, that does not mean that you are not experiencing stress and that your body is trying to deal effectively and safely with that stress. And the body can respond in an unreasonable way, what seems unreasonable in the face of stress. That could be storing more fat, that could be keeping us up, making us eat at strange times of day, like the middle of the night. It could make us feel very on edge so that we're able to shout at people, or easily triggered to get irritated or be impatient with people, especially people that we love. It can give us road rage. It can give us anxiety attacks or panic attacks. And so stress can cause all of these different symptoms. It can even destabilize our blood sugar levels. So if we're having higher cortisol levels, for instance, then at some point, if our cortisol is too high, then it's going to mismanage other hormones in the body. So it's going to mismanage our insulin levels. It's going to mismanage our thyroid hormone. It could burn out our thyroid gland. It could cause us to store weight at our belly or at our hips. All these unwanted belly fat can be as a result of stress. And stress raises blood pressure, so it throws off our homeostasis, the kind of the system in the body that makes sure everything is well and good. And so stress could really be a root cause that we want to address of so many of the chronic diseases that we're facing. It can account for increased use of nutrients. So for instance, if you know that you require 400 milligrams of magnesium per day, it could increase the amount of magnesium you required up to 800 milligrams, especially once your blood sugar gets involved. So it could cause us to need higher amounts of nutrients than normal, or it could cause us to need higher amounts of fats or proteins or even carbohydrates. The brain is the only organ of the body that relies on glucose. Now, does that mean that it needs a steady intake of Coca-Cola or something? Of course not. It will our blood sugar will just rise and crash, and we'll not have enough nutrition left over to effectively deal with that excess sugar. And so what really needs to happen is that our brain needs to have a consistent amount of sugar available to it through the day while we're thinking. So if you use your brain in your work, or if you have to concentrate on like driving or people's safety, or if you have a stressful job, either you're in medicine or you're a paramedic or a police officer, something very stressful, or if you work at a factory and you have to be extra diligent about safety of yourself or others, or even if you're a teacher and you have to look out for the well-being of 30 students, not only to ensure that they're achieving their academic goals and the academic goals that their parents want them to achieve, but also that they're safe. Or if you've ever been in a stressful event yourself, so you've ever had a sick parent or a sick child, or you've ever had to tend to somebody, or if you were sick yourself. When our bodies are sick, then it's a big impact on our HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis that I was talking about, that helps to balance our stress. So, or if you had a chronic stressful period of time, like let's say you went through a breakup or a divorce, or it was very messy, or you had to fight or be in court with somebody over something. These are extremely stressful circumstances, and because they happen commonly, people think that they're normal when really they're not necessarily normal. It just kind of creates this high level of stress. What's more is that people who work shift work, extremely stressful way of life, because our cortisol and our melatonin are always at odds with each other. Our melatonin can't be high. Our melatonin should be high in the evening so that we can go to sleep. However, if we work at night, then our melatonin can't be produced at night. Our cortisol levels have to be up. When our cortisol levels are up, our bodies don't repair themselves. We're not able to deposit calcium in the bones. We're not able to relax the blood pressure. We're not able to breathe deeply. We're not able to have those deep breaths that we need at night in order to massage our vagus nerve so that we can heal and repair and restore and have those healthy dreams and help to balance our psyche. So then it could also cause more depression, more anxiety. And so for all these reasons, if you're not convinced yet, you really want to think about including adaptogens in your life. And that's where this comes from. And I keep saying that that's where I bring this into the conversation, because I keep saying this word adapt. And stress really means the way that we perceive a stimulus, the way we perceive an event in our life. If we perceive something as stressful, something that we need to cope with, it will be. Whereas if we're relaxed and we meditate and we have other outlets and exercise and we really handle our stress well, then our body is already, our stress response is already adaptive. It's functionally adaptive. However, if we do not cope well, let's say we deny, or let's say we smoke cigarettes, or we drink alcohol, or we binge eat in order to cope with stress, then these things actually increase the demands on our nervous system and on our HPA axis even more so that we require more adapting, and our body's doing a less good job over time, because those things are actually more stress inducing. Or even if we watch television to all hours of the night, or on our phones or our Kindle all hours of the night, and we're looking at blue and green light instead of being in a deep sleep so that our body can be in repair, it's very, very stressful. And so there's a series of herbs that help the body adapt. So this Bliss anti-stress formula contains relaxing, promoting herbs that help stabilize our mood and help us cope with stressful days, stressful events, recover from stressful periods of time, promotes relaxation, promotes sleep without being drowsy causing. So it's got herbs in it like Siberian ginseng and ashwagandha. Some of these herbs you might have heard of before, and so I'm going to go into them a little bit. Some you might not have heard about. Some of them kind of have funny names because they're from Ayurvedic language or the continent of Asia, and so they might be in a different language. So don't be lured off or put off by the long names of herbs. You know, herbs tend to have complicated names anyway. They're either in Latin or they're their common language of wherever they're from. But these herbs really help the body adapt to stress. And in helping to adapt to stress, and it can also improve our focus and our sharpness and our conversation, our concentration. Have you ever noticed that if you've got too many things on your mind, like the short-term memory can really only deal with 3 or 5 plus or minus 2 things. So anywhere from 3 to 7 things we can kind of focus on at a time. And part of that is, okay, what am I going to eat for lunch? I wonder what that person thought of me. When am I going to pick up my kid? Am I going to be able to make it there on time? I have this work to do. You know, how do I look in this outfit? Do I feel bloated today? And can I focus on the tasks that I have to do? And that's 7 things already, just being aware of those things. If we can, you know, be aware of ourself in space and time, then that's a heck of a lot of responsibility. And do we have anything left over to really complete a long task? And so in that way, if you are less stressed out and less aware, like, you know, your brain is going off in fewer directions, then we can actually have increased mental clarity and increase the cognitive performance, and the body can adapt, and so that stress is less of an impact. And unfortunately, the thing is, when we're really stressed, we might not even notice it. It's like other people can observe us being very stressed, whether they're overwhelmed and even people who are educated about stress often need to be told, like, if my friends are like that, I'm like, hello, you're seeming very scattered right now. Are you okay? And, you know, try this. It works right away. And so, or just like, do you need a break? Do you need more sleep? Do you need more nutrients? Have you eaten lately? And so you want to check in with yourself as to, okay, is this what's going on? Because in doing that, you can avoid having a panic attack, or, you know, needing to have to go on disability leave, et cetera, over the long term. And so, you know, I like to put a little bit of humor into my conversation about supplements, but this is really not a funny topic at all. And so this product overall helps the body to adapt to stress. So if we've got too much cortisol that we're producing, it helps us bring that cortisol down so that we're not feeling anxious and uptight and overwhelmed and like anything's going to set us off. If we have too little cortisol that we're producing, and that's actually a more severe or advanced stage of adrenal fatigue, then our body's not producing enough cortisol. So then this supplement has herbs, those the same adaptogens, have an intelligence that help us produce more cortisol so that we can heal and bounce back over time. And we know that we have not enough cortisol if we wake up really, really groggy in the morning. We don't have enough, energy to get out of bed. We can keep pressing the alarm, and then we have a second wind at night. Those are hallmark symptoms of having stage 3 adrenal exhaustion, where our body is really just not getting and not making enough cortisol anymore. Also, if you have hypothyroid, if you've been diagnosed with a thyroid condition, then you're also likely at that end stage of adrenal insufficiency. And so this is not exactly a medical condition. This is a syndrome that holistic doctors like myself use to help put the organ systems back into regular normal function. And this is really our goal, is that our organ systems are functioning properly so that we're not going to develop the next stage, which might be a chronic disease. There's no point in just watching and waiting for yourself to get a full-blown disease when you actually could be doing something about it and feeling so much better immediately along the process. So, our goals are to have a good quality of life. Our goals are to be able to enjoy our family, to be able to enjoy our work, to be able to get our work done, to be able to focus and concentrate on our mission in life. And, whether you have, the mission of just, getting your work done and pleasing your boss, or whether you have like some big spiritual mission and your mission is to help 1 million people, we need to be able to focus on it so that we can accomplish those things. I would also like to say that this product is gluten-free. It's non-detectable. There's no detectable GMOs, so it's GMO-free. And it is a tablet. It's this size. And it's got some calcium and phosphorus in it. It's got ashwagandha root, 450 milligrams of swathania. It's got passion flower extract with 3.5 vitexins, 200 milligrams of that. It's got rhodiola rosea, 150 milligrams. It's got bacopa, 20% bacrosides from bacopin, 150 milligrams. It's got L-theanine, and I will go into a little bit of what each of these things are and do. 100 milligrams, and eleuthero root with 0.8% standardized eleuterosides, 100 milligrams of that. And I am just going to take it because I love this product. Did I mention that I just take it a lot? And one thing I love about this product also is that because of some of the ingredients work right away, specifically the L-theanine works within 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whereas other of the adaptogens tend to work over 10 days to 21 days in order to really get into your system, just like most medications do. The supplement also, has a build-up period, so it works. The longer you take it, the better it is. I would generally recommend that somebody actually go on the supplement, not just sporadically, although there's no harm with that, but you won't get the benefit of all of the adaptogenic herbs if you're only taking it, every a couple times a week or something. You're really going to get the most out of it when you're taking it 5 to 7 days a week, and you're taking the full recommended dose, which is 2 per day, and you can split that. You can take 1 in the morning. It's amazing to take with coffee also because L-theanine really helps to balance out the jitters from coffee and really helps. It's got a kind of a nootropic stacking effect, so it helps to increase your cognitive performance. We know that caffeine helps to increase our cognitive performance, but if you're having anxiety or something, caffeine is not recommended. But L-theanine works to kind of increase our GABA receptors, so it just kind of takes the edge off, so we can still experience the benefits of our caffeine, our morning coffee, but then not get any jitters. And so that's something I personally love because I'm a little bit of a coffee addict, and if you can't tell by how fast that I speak, otherwise I'm a very chill person. So this product helps the body adapt to stress, which is extremely important in helping either bring down our cortisol levels or bring up our cortisol levels. It promotes relaxation without drowsiness. Who doesn't want to feel more relaxed? It helps to maintain healthy levels of serotonin, which is the neurotransmitter, our brain chemistry hormone that helps make us feel good, not great, just good and balanced, like that we're safe, we're okay, we can get all of our work done, we can have a conversation with our spouse without blowing the top off the roof or blowing the roof off the house. We can drive through traffic and not get road rage. And then it also helps to maintain healthy levels of dopamine, which is the happiness, the bliss neurotransmitter, which does help to create, laughing and euphoria and a little ecstasy and feelings of orgasm at times, this blissed out state. And so we need both of those neurotransmitters in order for our brain to be healthy and functioning. And so this product helps to stabilize our mood, all in all, is what I'm saying. And anything that helps to support healthy serotonin levels will also help to increase melatonin production if that's needed, because there's a cascade of how the hormones are made. And so there's precursors that we need in order to make sure that we're making healthy levels of 5-HTP, and then serotonin, and then dopamine, and then melatonin finally. And so L-theanine is one of the ingredients. L-theanine is an amino acid. It's a non-protein forming amino acid that there's been several clinical trials on it showing that it helps to promote relaxation fast, like works within 5 to 10 minutes. It is found in green tea naturally, and so it's one of the reasons for why green tea, although it does have some caffeine in it, doesn't make people jittery generally, is because it has this L-theanine, which is a flavonoid. So it is an antioxidant amino acid used for relaxing and anti-anxiety effects. So it's believed that it might work for just kind of regular day-to-day anxiety by increasing levels of GABA, as I mentioned, and serotonin. So in the central nervous system, GABA is the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, which means that it helps us to relax as opposed to stimulate. And it's synthesized in the brain by the breakdown of glutamate or glutamine. I do also want to say that if you are taking a glutamine supplement and you suffer with anxiety or depression, you want to rethink that, because as much as glutamine is good for the gut and everything, it's not necessarily good for somebody who has a very stressed out mind, and you don't want to be taking supplements in order to counter the effects of other supplements. You really want to be taking only the supplements that you need. I firmly believe in supplements, and I take several per day, what I need. And when I recommend them to people, I recommend that you just 3 or 4, 3 to 6, depending on the person's issues, but not 20, not tons of supplements every day, because at some point they're starting to work against each other. And so you want to be selective, and you don't want your supplements out competing each other. And so, but GABA is really important so that we have enough GABA, and L-theanine helps to increase that GABA without actually taking GABA itself, although we can take GABA. GABA is anticonvulsant, it has a sedative effects, and also has anxiolytic effects at a cellular level, so it really helps to calm us down, this L-theanine, by just inserting itself in that pathway. It also doesn't build. L-theanine runs out in about 30 minutes, or it peaks in about 30 minutes, and then it takes about 2 hours for it to be done. There's really no danger of L-theanine, although some people, if you're taking, the reason I like it in formula as opposed to just by itself is because some people will experience rebound anxiety if they're taking like 1,200 milligrams of L-theanine per day, but this product only has 100 milligrams, so it works really well. And even if I take 4 or 6 of these in a day, then keep 1 bottle at work, keep 1 bottle at home by my bed, keep one bottle near my coffee machine, then you can be sure that you're not getting too much L-theanine, so that you get this rebound effect. But pay attention yourself. And this supplement also has rhodiola in it. Rhodiola is a Russian root. It's called rose root. Beautiful name. And it has glycosides in it that help to stimulate the mind, become anti-stress. So even though it's a stimulant on the mind for a focus on cognition, it also has anti-stress capabilities, adaptogenic actions, which are, increasing our buffering or our resistance to the harmful effects of stressors, so that you can tolerate more stress on your system. Not that that's the goal, but if you're living in a city, if you have a busy life, or even if you're living in the country and you just have tons of jobs to do, then rhodiola can really help with that. So rhodiola has been shown to protect from stressors such as radiation that I mentioned, such as cold. So heat and cold can be stressors as well when it's too hot or too cold. Help increase work capacity so that we can focus for longer, so that we can work for longer. Help decrease fatigue, help increase learning and memory, and also might help to prevent cardiac-induced damage, stress-induced cardiac damage. So that's how our stress affects and negatively affects and damages our heart, and demonstrates potential for improving learning and memory. Ashwagandha is an Indian herb, also known as winter cherry, and I believe it has some other names, like hung like horse is what I learned it to be called, because it has a powerful energy producing effect. And it's also classified as Indian ginseng. And so some researchers think that ashwagandha has an anti-stressor effect, as well as the ability to suppress stress-induced increases of dopamine, so that we're getting kind of like maniacal or mania. So if you have too much dopamine, you'll get this mania. You actually need more GABA or more serotonin in order to balance out. And so instead of taking, a drug that kind of forces that, this is an herb which helps your brain adapt to the natural pace. So it also can reduce stress-induced plasma corticosteroid, so and blood urea nitrogen, as well as blood lactic acid. So it really helps the muscles work better. It really helps our body have less urea, so that our kidneys are working better and filtering our urine, and then also reducing plasma corticosterone, which is similar to cortisol. And this can affect it in helping with lowering blood pressure, keeping healthy blood pressure under control, especially because the more stress hormones we have in our blood volume, then the more we're going to hold water, and the more our blood pressure is going to go up. So Eleuthero, it also has Siberian ginseng, which is absolutely one of my favorite stress-reducing herbs. So Siberian ginseng was found in the former Northern Soviet Union, which might be the reason for why it's called Siberia. It was found to enhance athletic performance and reduce stress. It's been shown to enhance focus, mental acuity, and also physical endurance without that withdrawal or letdown effect that comes from caffeine products. So even though it's a stimulant, it's not as strong or as harsh as caffeine. There's no withdrawal experience. So it's got a balancing effect on the body. It helps deal with homeostasis, as I mentioned, which is healthy blood pressure and breathing, as well as blood pressure. Helps support the adrenal gland to work better, especially when it's challenged by stress. And it can increase the energy balance of the adrenal glands. Will also help balance the immune system, because the immune system will get weak if we have too much stress. Passion flower, you might know passion flower as a sleeping aid. It also is helpful for maintaining hormonal levels. And so passion flower is the perennial blossoming vine. It's native of southeastern United States, as well as Brazil and Argentina. It grows in Italy. It's absolutely got a gorgeous flower. It's absolutely beautiful. And the medicinal properties come from the aerial parts that are above the ground. It is a sedative, it is a hypnotic, it is an anxiolytic, anti-anxiety, it is an antispasmodic. These are the herbal properties of this plant. And there's only a little bit in this formula, so that it's not going to cause drowsiness, even though it will help to kind of like sedate the nervous system a little bit, so that it's not as stimulated. And it also helps to cause anxiolytic, anti-anxiety effects without losing our memory or our motor skills. So many times drugs that are, sedatives will cause you cannot operate a heavy machine or drive a car. Passion flower has those similar effects, but without interfering with the ability to do normal functions, pick up your children, etc. And so this is wonderful. This is a wonderful thing about herbs, is that they are, they're natural. They have other properties. They don't just have a chemical in them. They have other properties in them that also, and as well as nutrition, that help to balance out the effects. And so it's great that natural remedies are not as strong as medications, because it means that the side effects are not as strong. It means that they're generally not, as dangerous, as likely to overdose, and also have a balance in and of themselves. And especially herbal formulas tend to be mixed together, like herbs tend to be mixed with other herbs, so that you're never taking just one herb. It's actually better to take herbs in formula most of the time. So some studies have also shown that the flavonoids in passion flower have a relaxing effect, and can also enhance the effectiveness of other anxiety treatments. So it can actually be mixed with other anxiety medications. And lastly, the last product in the last herb in this product is Bacopa, or Brahma, and this is also an Indian cognition formula, memory formula. Helps to improve learning ability, helps to improve cognition, and it may be modulated through the acetylcholine release. Acetylcholine acetylase activity, as well as muscarinic cholinergic receptor binding. So it can improve the modulation of those kind of neurotransmitters that you normally hear about in order to help reduce stress and improve cognitive and improve brain function and memory. All right, guys, so 2 a day is the dose for the Bliss, and I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you tomorrow.